relationship between load and hypertrophy is a fundamental aspect of gym training, often misunderstood by many. When it comes to muscle growth, the connection with load might not be what you expect. Research shows that hypertrophy can be achieved across a spectrum of different loads, whether light, moderate, or heavy. A meta-analysis examining the impact of load on muscle growth categorized them into light, moderate, and heavy. Surprisingly, the results indicated no significant difference in muscle growth between these categories. This suggests that load alone isn't the sole determinant of hypertrophy. So, what does matter? The key lies in the effective hypertrophy rep range. A meta-analysis of 34 studies published in the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research found that moderate repetition ranges were most effective for muscle hypertrophy compared to both high and low repetition ranges. However, progressive overload remains a cornerstone of muscle growth. Sticking to the same weights indefinitely won't yield continued progress. Progressive overload ensures that muscles are continually challenged, preventing plateaus and promoting adaptation. Contrary to popular belief, progressive overload isn't just about adding more weight to the body. It's a strategic, gradual increase in resistance that keeps muscles adapting. A study comparing to resistance training increasing load while keeping reps constant and the other increasing reps while keeping load constant found no notable differences in muscle thickness gain. Both groups experienced similar improvements, reinforcing that what truly matters is pushing sets close to failure within the effective hypertrophy rep range. Progressive overload isn't something you force. It's a natural outcome of muscle growth. As your muscles adapt, your ability to lift heavier weights increases. However, there's no one-size-fits-all approach to load progression. Factors like training, experience, genetics, diets, sleep, and stress levels all influence how quickly you can advance. Instead of rigidly following a set plan, it's best to listen to your body, track your performance, and adjust accordingly. Several factors influence the load you should use, and blindly adding weight isn't the answer. Lifted technique plays a crucial role. The mind-muscle connection isn't just gym jargon, it's essential for targeting specific muscles effectively. Strict technique ensures the intended muscle group is doing the work, not just moving weight. For example, controlling the eccentric phase of a lift maximizes muscle stress, promoting growth. A study on advanced resistance training techniques found that methods like controlled tempo and drop sets were more time efficient for hypertrophy than traditional approaches. Rest periods between sets also impact muscle growth. Research comparing short and long rest intervals found that both can contribute to hypertrophy, though longer rest periods may offer a slight advantage, especially for trained individuals. This highlights the importance of balancing intensity with adequate recovery. Knowing when to increase load is critical for sustained progress. One clear indicator is consistently exceeding your target rep range. If you're aiming for 8 to 12 reps and regularly hitting 30 or more with good form, it's likely time to increase the weight. Another cue comes from sensory feedback during workouts. Muscle pump, stretch under load, and post-exercise soreness can signal whether your current load is effective. If these indicators are positive, experimenting with a slightly heavier load in subsequent sets may be beneficial. However, there are times when increasing load isn't advisable. Poor technique should always take precedence over lifting heavy. If your form isn't optimized for muscle engagement, adding weight can lead to inefficiency and injury risk. Joint pain is another red flag. Discomfort in joints or connective tissues means the load is too stressful, and increasing it could lead to long-term issues. In such cases, maintaining or even reducing the load while focusing on proper execution is the smarter approach. When increasing load, gradual progression is key. Muscle growth doesn't happen overnight, and small, incremental jumps such as adding the smallest available plates for barbell lifts or moving up one pin on a machine help maintain proper form and reduce injury risk. Studies show that abrupt spikes in workload are a major predictor of injury, Emphasizing the need for a measured approach, the decision to increase load across all sets or just specific ones depends on comfort and training goals. For hypertrophy, the focus is on sustainable progression, whereas strength training prioritizes lifting maximal weight safely. Regardless of the goal, the principle remains the same. Challenge the muscles progressively without compromising safety or technique. To maximize hypertrophy training, stick to the 5 to 20 rep range, ensuring sets are taken close to failure. Pay attention to lifting technique rather than just chasing heavier weights. Rest periods of 1 to 3 minutes between sets strike a balance between intensity and recovery. Gradual load increases, tailored to individual progression rates, are more effective than drastic jumps. Ultimately, the decision to increase load should be guided by performance and bodily feedback. If you're surpassing your rep targets with ease, it's a sign to progress. But if technique falters or joint pain arises, staying at the current weight is the wiser choice. These guidelines are anti-rigid rules, but flexible strategies to help you train smarter and grow stronger over time. By understanding the science behind load progression and listening to your body, you can optimize your workouts for long-term muscle growth and performance. Another important consideration in progressive overload is the role of the total amount of work performed in a training session. While increasing load is one way to progress, manipulated volume can also drive hypertrophy. Research suggests that a moderate to high training volume is optimal for muscle growth, provided recovery is adequate. For example, gradually increasing the number of sets per exercise or adding an extra training session for a muscle group can stimulate further adaptation. However, volume must be increased carefully to avoid overtraining, which can stall progress and increase injury risk. Monitoring fatigue levels and adjusting volume based on recovery capacity is essential for long-term success. Nutrition also plays a critical role in supporting progressive overload. Without sufficient protein intake and overall caloric surplus, the body lacks the necessary resources to repair and grow muscle tissue. Studies indicate that consuming 1.6 to 2.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight daily is optimal for hypertrophy. Additionally, carbohydrates provide the energy needed for an intense training session, while healthy fats support hormone production, including testosterone, which influences muscle growth. Proper hydration and micronutrient intake further enhance recovery and performance. Ignoring nutrition can undermine even the most well-structured training program, making it harder to sustain progressive overload. Sleep is another often overlooked factor in muscle growth and strength progression. During deep sleep, the body releases growth hormone, which aids in muscle repair and recovery. Chronic sleep deprivation, on the other hand, elevates cortisol levels, a stress hormone that can break down muscle tissue and impair performance. Research shows that individuals who get less than 7 hours of sleep per night experience slower muscle recovery and reduced strength gains compared to those who prioritize rest. Therefore, optimizing sleep quality and duration is just as important as training and nutrition when aiming to increase load and muscle size over time. Another key aspect of progressive overload is exercise variation. While consistency in movement patterns is necessary to build strength in specific lifts, periodically changing exercises can prevent plateaus by introducing new stimuli to the muscles. For example, switching from barbell bench presses to dumbbell presses or incline variations can target the chest from different angles, promoting balanced growth. However, too much variation can hinder progress by not allowing sufficient time to master a movement. A balanced approach, rotating exercises every few weeks while maintaining a core set of lifts, is often most effective. The psychological component of training should not be underestimated. Motivation and mental resilience play a significant role in sustaining progressive overload. Tracking workouts, setting small, achievable goals, and celebrating progress can maintain long-term adherence. Conversely, frustration from unrealistic expectations or comparing oneself to others can lead to burnout or poor training decisions. A patient, process-oriented mindset focusing on gradual improvement rather than immediate results helps maintain consistency, which is ultimately what drives hypertrophy. Finally, deloading periodically, reducing training intensity or volume is a crucial but often neglected part of progressive overload. Continuous heavy training without breaks can lead to overtraining, fatigue, and even injury. Deload weeks, where weight or volume is reduced by 30 to 50%, allow the body to recover fully, leading to better performance in subsequent sessions. Many advanced lifters schedule deloads every 4 to 8 weeks, depending on their recovery capacity. Ignoring this can result in stagnation or regression, making planned recovery just as important as progressive overload itself. In summary, increasing load for hypertrophy is a multifaceted process that extends beyond simply adding weight to the bar. Effective progression requires attention to technique, volume management, nutrition, sleep, exercise variation, and psychological factors. By adopting a holistic approach, making gradual adjustments, and prioritizing recovery lifters can sustainably build muscle and strength over time. The key is consistency, patience, and a willingness to adapt based on individual responses to training. Whether you're a beginner or an experienced lifter, understanding these principles ensures that progressive overload works in your favor, leading to long-term success in the gym.